Okay, so today,
All right, welcome.
welcome. So today I wanted to talk about astral astral projection.
So, first, define astral projection.
I cannot.
Why not?
But what people say it could be is basically an outer body experience.
Look, I'll define it for you. Astral projection is the intentional act of separating one's consciousness or astral body from the physical body. So, perhaps maybe spirit from the physical. So, key concepts are a subtle duplicate of the physical body made of energy or consciousness or spirit. You can be in control
Okay.
and
Okay.
And there have been attempts to verify astral projection. Most have been inconclusive. However, the CIA during the Cold War was actively involved in investigating and potentially weaponizing the paranormal phenomena known as astral projection under the CIA program called Project Gateway, conducted in collaboration with the Monroe Institute. It was in a now famous 1983 CIA report titled Analysis and Assessment of the Gateway Process.
That was a long definition. Thank you.
I wanted to give everyone a big
So long.
set of things to unpack because we're going to unpack a lot because a lot of people don't know what astral projection might be.
Okay.
Nay.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
It's just an outer body experience.
Well, no, it's more than that because an outer body experience, you can be in control or out of control. Astral projection is specifically the controlling of an outer body experience. Very different.
Some people even think lucid dreams are a type of astral projection. Or like,
Yes, but they're not in control. So I would say,
yeah, lucid dreams, you are in control. Wait, is that
I don't know. I'd argue that, but okay.
Oh, I can control my dreams, no problem.
I can't. No, never in a million. I think most people cannot.
Well, there you go. I
I think
can.
you might be on crack.
Some people even might say sleep paralysis may be a type of astral projection. Don't know why. But they were like, it could be the same thing.
Nah.
But some people were talking about that.
Well, I got the CIA stuff here. I investigated a little bit and found a bunch of stuff that the CIA and Canada and Russia and Nazi Germany were involved in. I don't know if I can say that word, but anyway, they were involved in. So I'll go through that in a minute. But what did you find on astral projection?
Yeah, so astral projection really caught my attention. That rhymed. Because of my personal weird experience.
Yep.
And my cousin was here and she was talking about astral projection and she talked about the CIA stuff, which caught my attention. Also because why is the government funding or was funding or secretly is still funding an astral projection case
Research.
So, and then I kind of went into a deep dive of because I'm Japanese, I always wanted to somehow connect it to the Japanese culture, and I know you said astral projection is something that you control yourself, but I thought it was interesting that the Japanese culture has this thing called Ikiryō.
Ikiryō?
That I don't think they have one here in the Western world. I couldn't really look into it.
Mean?
So Ikiryō, there is no direct translation, but it translates to the living spirit. And in Japan,
living or leaving?
Living. And this Ikiryō is a living person's spirit that, I guess it's a part of this person's spirit that leaves
like
their
body. Like a part of you? Like a part of a person?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like a part of them leaves them to haunt another individual. And it's often driven by a negative force or negative
Well, that's
feeling.
not very positive.
No, it's not. I didn't say it was. So a lot of Japanese people experience Ikiryō because, I don't know, their colleague got a a promotion. This person had, and then another colleague had so much hate for that other
Because they got a
promoted
promotion.
person. Yeah, but there's stories like that.
That's not very samurai-like.
Or like when my grandparents rebuilt their home, we think that their house is haunted by Ikiryō
No, I don't.
because we had some weird stories.
I don't think that at all.
Okay. Anyway.
What the hell happened in the house to make you think that?
What?
What?
Mom,
What?
when I was little and on the third story of the house,
Yeah. 1, 2, 3,
Mom
yeah.
and I were in the tatami room.
There's
and
two
then,
tatami rooms, but okay.
Yeah, and then I heard my aunt come home.
That was the next door neighbor.
You can't hear the next door neighbor.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I heard my aunt come home and like walk towards the door. And then so I said to Mom, oh, Auntie's back. And then I went to the door to open it, and it opens to a hallway of the third floor, and no one was there, and no one came home. But Mom just brushed it off, being like, "Oh, it was just the TV." Or
Did she hear it
something.
too?
Yeah,
Oh.
we both heard it, and I also heard the walking footstep thing in grade 11 when I was sleeping in the same hallway, not in the same room, but a room across the hallway. I heard footsteps in the middle of the night, and I was asking my family members if anybody woke up to go to the bathroom. They're all like,
Well, they probably did. They just didn't know.
"Oh, sleepwalking."
Okay, so there's Ikiryō in the house. Why? Who hates them?
I don't know. They're neighbors. Maybe they're jealous that they were able to rebuild their home.
Well, I don't know if they know any of those neighbors. But anyway, okay.
So
that's interesting.
anyway, so
how do you get rid of them?
I guess you need to have a obosan, a monk come and cleanse your home.
With the thing and they go to hunja buja buja?
Yeah. Or get those fuda, what is fuda in English?
Yeah, we have them on our house.
What's fuda in English? Like holy paper?
Yeah. I don't know how just like a talisman. You might say talisman.
Yeah. Yeah, if you watch the anime Dandadan, you would get it.
Yeah,
there's lots of connections.
Written in kanji, whatever, the talisman. So they have,
but anyway, so
those all over.
I talked about Ikiryō because it is part of a living. I mean, I guess you're not really controlling it, but it is something that I guess it's a type of astral projection, but you're not in control if you are the person that is releasing a part of their spirit to go haunt another person.
Yeah, I don't.
But it's a stretch.
Well, yeah, I think it's a stretch. I think astral projection needs to have some boundaries, and the reason it's boundaries, otherwise it just turns into a ghost haunting.
Right? But it's not a ghost. Ikiryō isn't a ghost.
But you can't delineate that. That's not. You can't delineate. You're guessing. Oh, it was maybe Ikiryō. Maybe it was a ghost. Right? I think astral projection is first person, where you consciously attempt or leave your body, and you're in full control to travel to other places.
Okay.
This is why the CIA and Russia, Germany and Canada and the Western powers were all investigating it, because they wanted to be able to, for example, the CIA wanted to be able to send a person into the Kremlin to hear what's going on. The Kremlin wanted to send people into the White House through conscious, controlled astral projection to hear what was going on. Right? And so that's why I think definition is important. Otherwise, it's haunting.
What about Makyo?
What's that?
When you are in such deep meditation that you experience like a levitation.
Okay, so if you're high on mushrooms, if you're high, you can experience a lot of things. But again, the CIA was involved in the control aspect. It was very important that you could control what you were trying to do.
Yeah, meditation.
Well, yeah, I guess. But a lot of people meditate when they're high.
Not me.
It's to wait to be seen, but anyway.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about the CIA stuff. Not long like your definition. That was really long.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I think a key part of it is control.
Okay.
Right?
Fair.
So the CIA and the Department of Defense explored the areas of astral projection for tactical advantage, based on what I just said, which was intelligence gathering via remote viewing.
And they were training these people to astral project.
They were trying.
Yeah.
ESP and telepathy in espionage. Right?
Okay.
mind expansion, and potential mental resilience training for operatives. Okay, so to make the operatives very skilled at, even if they were captured, to go other places, be safe. Their body could be, beaten, poisoned, tortured, but their mind would go somewhere else.
Isn't that disassociation? Some
No,
people
but that's
call
what I'm
that
saying. Yes, it is
disassociation. Yeah.
disassociation or whatever you right. Astral projection, to go somewhere, disassociate yourself, your spirit from your body, controlled. Okay, their findings were mixed, and while many claims were fascinating, reproducibility was a major problem, and scientific consensus was never formed.
And didn't they do this research for like 20 years?
A long time, almost the entire Cold War.
Yeah.
Plus, the Germans were doing it during World War II. Okay, so for example, so NORAD. So some people think there's energetic vortexes in Alberta, or geomagnetic anomalies around in the Rockies, Crow's Nest Pass, Riding on Stone, Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, probably linked to the indigenous cultures of some of those places, right? Anecdotal and speculative. Some places in Alberta, like Cold Lake and Suffield, house military bases that were very active during the Cold War, right? Where they were testing chemical and biological warfare and doing research, right? Some psychic experiments in the 70s, not sure, right? And then in Montreal, the CIA helped a Dr. Ewan Cameron at the Allen Memorial Institute conduct horrifying psychiatric experiments, drugging people, psychic driving, sensory deprivation, mind control, etc., as a part of or a offshoot of astral projection to try and understand the conscious alteration of human beings, where either they were in control or they could do it to other people. So very weird stuff going on back then.
Yeah, there was a lot of experiments during the world wars, or just wars, that
they wanted
gross experiments were happening.
They wanted any edge to get the enemies, right? Because we still do, but back then it was like there was nuclear weapons pointed at everybody, as we spoke about last week, right? And then in Germany during World War II, the occult obsession meets science. So the Nazis were obsessed with Atlantis.
So you know the Nazi sign, right?
What?
You know the Nazi sign. I'm not going to do it on camera, but you know the Nazi sign, right?
What did Mutsu do?
I found out that Mutsu used to do it in school. Way more, not as a joke. But it before any sport activities happened.
Why?
And so the history, so I was like, how did this even happen? Because Japan and Germany used to be friends, right?
Not really, but okay.
To a certain extent, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I thought, oh, maybe. So then we started saying, oh, maybe the Japanese kids took it from that, and then just started doing the Nazi salute. But no, the history is it comes from Rome.
Yes.
During the Olympic times, and during the Olympic times, they would do what we know as the Nazi salute. But obviously, in the Roman, like back then, it wasn't that. And so they used to do that before the Olympics, and that was like the whole Olympic salute. And Japan carries it on today before any, obviously not the Olympics, but any sportsmanship kind of activities happen. So you see kids doing this salute and saying whatever they need to say, the script they need to say. And we were reading one comment where this lady married a German guy. They live in Japan, and her German husband saw that happening. He's like, what the heck is happening? But anyway, so Japan does the salute, talking about Nazi
Even
Germany.
Still? Interesting.
Yeah. So if you live in Japan and see that, please note that it's not from Germany, it's from the Olympics back in the day. So it's not meant to be a harmful salute. So that's a little history lesson. I didn't know that. So anyway, go back to your Germany.
Yeah, I'm just reading, there's a lot of history behind that salute. It may or may not have been Roman. It may have been, but definitely the fascists took that over or co-opted or whatever what whatever you would say,
It was Mussolini.
adapted to their thing, right?
Yeah, Mussolini took it, and then what's his name, Hitler, decided to.
Yeah, so if the Japanese kids went to Germany or Austria and did that, they would go to jail. Right? So it's a test like that salute and other things is a textbook example of how symbolic history gets weaponized, right? So in Japan, you have the Nazi symbol, right? But that has reference to,
No, it's the other way around.
well, whatever,
But I know what
whatever
you mean.
way it is, doesn't matter. It's it gets co-opted by fascists or communists,
Yes. People
essentially
make
the
a
same
mistake.
side of the coin, right? And then they replicate that in times of rising nationalism and spectacle-driven politics,
Hmm.
right? Kind of where we are today. I don't know that anything. I could probably say a few things that would probably get me in trouble, so I won't. But there's a little bit of that going on now,
Yeah.
whether it's on the right or the left. And so I don't know how we got from there to here on astral projection. You wrecked it.
Sorry, I just
Sorry.
wanted to throw a little fun fact.
Oh.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, so
Well, I have an interesting story.
no, I want to try astral projection. Do you have any mushrooms or anything?
No,
Just joking.
I don't actually.
What's the story?
Okay. This I heard from mom. All the cool stories I hear from mom.
She watches a lot of YouTube.
Yeah. So Japanese man.
She never talks to me, but she watches a lot of YouTube.
Now she talks to you.
Not very often. Like once a day.
I don't know. I don't live here, so I can't say anything. But there's this man.
Was it on YouTube?
Yeah, she sent me on YouTube. And it's also Wikipedia. I don't know
Okay.
if that's useful. But there's books and stuff. His name is Kikuchi Tsuruhiko. Or in
Okay.
English, it'll be Tsuruhiko Kikuchi. Kikuchi, sorry.
What did he do?
So he's a renowned Japanese comet hunter.
What hunter?
Comet.
Oh, comet. Yeah. Mhm.
Comet. And he has had 3 near-death experiences and 1
Oh,
death
I know this
experience.
guy. We brought this guy up a few weeks ago, didn't we? No,
We
maybe
did,
not.
but we didn't, or
We didn't
not this
dive
guy.
into it. Yeah, okay.
But we didn't dive into it, and
Mhm.
because we're talking about astral projection, I thought it would be interesting to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's had 3 near-death experience. I'm only going to talk to you about his first experience because it's interesting, and if this story interests you, please look it up yourself. There's a book about it. So in 1977, when he was 22 years old,
And I was 3. Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't born.
Correct.
This was when he was serving in the Japanese self-defense force,
The military. Okay.
the military or something, and he suffered an artery thing, so his heart just decided to
Like
not
a
work.
blockage or something.
Some
Okay.
blockage. His heart decided not to
Clot or
work.
something. Okay.
It stopped, and he was clinically dead for 30 minutes. 30. Okay, this was his
I don't know
first
how
experience.
he kept his brain alive, but okay.
That's why it's really interesting.
Okay.
So there's some really interesting symbolism that he talks in his book about his experience. There's also a video interview with him as well, just because of how interesting it is. So I just want to talk to you about his experience. So when someone dies, they see it, they're in a tunnel.
Yeah. So part of the near-death experience for a lot of people is that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So that's we say that's where that comes from. Okay.
And that's literally exactly what he saw. So he was in a tunnel. He walked through it. On the other side, he saw a river with wildflowers.
Okay.
And he had a reunion with his deceased relatives.
He spoke with them and stuff?
Yes,
okay.
He did. He did. He said he spoke with them.
Common occurrence in near-death experiences.
He met a mysterious woman. And he has also seen a lot of the golden light. This mysterious woman led him to a very bright part of the field.
Okay.
I don't know.
It was just illuminated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are some very interesting things that he was just talking about. But these three experiences that he was able to tell led him to a profound understanding of the universe composition
Okay.
as a physicist. So he says from his near-death experiences, they're 5-dimensional universe.
Okay.
Okay. So he proposed that 3 is the spatial dimension.
The one we live in.
Yeah. So
Okay.
length, width,
We live
height.
here. Okay.
1 is the temporal,
Yep.
which is time.
Yep.
And then the last one is mind.
Okay.
Yeah. I never heard anybody say mind. So that one was interesting.
It's spoken about a little bit, in my opinion, in the movie Interstellar, where they talk about love, right?
Yeah.
Extends beyond time, space, and
They
dimension.
did talk about that.
Okay, that's that's my guess is where he would be going.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
is a fascinating concept, by the way. It really is if you start thinking about it.
It's something that if I start thinking about, my brain will explode. Or I just can't comprehend it. That's an interesting dimension to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that led him to his hypothesis of how our universe works. And he calls it, I don't know what it's called in Japanese, but in English it translates to the greater universal mind. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to read it word by word, but it's an encountered collectiveness of consciousness encompassing all memories and experiences of every living being.
Wait, this is my theory.
He referred to this as the greater universal mind, suggesting that individual consciousness merges into this collective upon death.
That's my theory.
That's literally your theory. Isn't that so cool? Anyway, so that from his 3 near-death experiences, or I guess
But
he came to this greater universal mind. So I'm gonna call it GUM. But he came up with this theory of one big collective consciousness that merges together when you pass.
Yeah. So what is the purpose behind the collective? Why would it come together?
I'm not sure.
So I find that fascinating. I came up with my theory, and I honestly don't know where it came from.
Did you have an astral projection?
No, I didn't have an astral projection experience. I was digging deep at the time into Mormonism and the temple ceremony that they do. And while I think they've kind of bastardized it, they have bastardized it, or they've lost the complete meaning of it. Probably a little bit of both. I came up with this theory, and the reason I came up with this theory is because I couldn't explain. You cannot explain the reason for people being born into or thrust into all manner of absolutely horrific and disgusting circumstance. Right? There's no justification for it from a loving God. Right? If you whatever you can think of that's happened to a baby, a child, a woman, a young girl, as far as any type of violence you can think of, it's probably been
men too.
Done. Men also war, anything, right? And so why are those circumstances, why are they allowed to happen? And so the typical Christian, Muslim, whatever, we don't have to speak to the Abrahamics only, but they would say, well, God does it to test people, God does it to hold people accountable, and the evil people go to hell, blah, blah, blah. Great. But I think the universal mind is a better explanation. And that is that the universal mind has all consciousness connected to it. And all experience, while we as human beings think some of them are absolutely awesome, and some of them are the most horrific things you can ever think of, they all come together in a universal mind to give that universal mind what? Experience that it can't have as a single being.
Yeah.
Opportunity that it can't have as a single being. Learning and study that it can't have as a single being. And so it would all come together.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Do you think animals are in this gum?
No, I don't. I think animals are on the periphery. I think they're designed by the this greater universal force, mind, spirit, God, to add life and add experience. But because we don't think, or I don't know that they're sentient, I would have a tough time understanding how their experience added into the universal mind, other than our interaction with animals.
So that's your theory is interesting because
Mm.
Kiuchi-san, I didn't write it here, but I was thrown back because it's not what you said. He thinks that animals are also part of this
He does think that? Mm.
gum. I'm gonna call it gum. It sounds funny, but he theorizes that they are part of this. And I guess we will never know until we actually move on to the next life, or if there is a next one. But that was his theory, so I just thought it was interesting from where he came from and where your opinion comes from. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, you both came to the same theory of this greater mind.
I think animals have spirits or some energy that definitely adds to whatever that consciousness is, that mind, that thing. I'm just not sure. In my theory, I haven't rounded it out for a while. I'm not really sure what that means.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's fine.
Right.
Because you don't have any near-death experiences, so this will be hard to
No, I
talk
haven't.
about too.
And I had this. It was actually during the second Gulf War. The first one I was all aboard on, which was stupid. Go kill everybody. The Americans got to go over and kill everybody in the Middle East. It was the second Gulf War, where the rhetoric got so deafening about killing people, became, hey, let's spread freedom. Right? Killing people, the sound of freedom was
killing equals freedom.
Yeah, so killing these guys equals freedom, or the sound of freedom was bullets and stuff. I like guns as much as the next guy. But this rhetoric was crazy. And I really had, it wasn't out of body experience, but it was a deeply spiritual experience where I realized if we realized the connection that we each had to each other and then to this universal mind, God, whatever, and that the way I speak about my hand is me. But I speak about it as if I own it. But it's me. If I cut myself, I could say I cut myself, or I could say I cut my hand. You could say I killed, in war I killed that man, or a part of God's consciousness was killed. You can say it either way, and I think it fits. But we tend to distance ourselves because another human being. That's what we've done. But I came to a realization, and it's hard to stick to it because the rhetoric. That if we realize that killing another human being is like chopping off our own hand, even though we separate it in the possessive sometimes.
Yeah.
If we realize that killing another human being is literally chopping off our own self, or chopping off somebody from our own collective, I think that we would have a very, very serious rethink about how we interact with each other. Right? Very difficult, I get that.
Yeah.
But you cannot. Human beings are crazy because we're the only ones that kill each other for war, right? Over disputes. Animals do it for mate. They do it for
territory.
What's the word? Honno. What's honno in English? No, I forgot. Anyway, instinct. They do it for instinct, but humans are the only ones that consciously make a decision to go out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
like you plan it.
You continually devise more and more creative ways and simple ways to kill each other. And I think that I think that eventually that won't be congruent with this universal mind or this God conscious.
But without that experience, then you won't be experiencing all when you go into that collectiveness.
Yeah.
Because you need that, I guess. I don't know. With your theory and with his theory, you need that experience. But please note that this is all opinion.
Well, everybody knows that, but I guess you come to the point, well, okay, what if we annihilate ourselves? And then the conscious just pulls back, and then I guess it would set up, the conscious God, whatever, would set up shop somewhere else. I guess.
Yeah.
Right? To continue on the experience, because perhaps human self-annihilation will come, or whatever will happen. But I mean, shop was set up here on Earth once. Nothing to say it can't be set up here again or somewhere else again, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that takes eons of time, but I still think it's possible, especially considering the vastness of the universe.
Yeah, it's a big world out there.
I was watching. I was watching on YouTube. They took just a couple of weeks ago, and I should have done more research and brought it. But they took a visual of the night sky, and now they're able to go back with light and stuff. They're able to go back hundreds of millions of light years away, and pinpoint even darker spots of the night sky. And so they took a picture of this new dark spot. They did this few with new dark spot, and they pulled back the light. They they took pictures of this dark spot for like 10 years or whatever. And because that's how long it takes to get enough light to be able to see it. And they found thousands and thousands and thousands, billions and billions and billions of galaxies in this one small spot of space. Right? That if you extended your hands would like fit in the little, when you do that, it would fit in that little spot there. Right? That's
making me feel
billions
sick.
of galaxies. Isn't that crazy?
Makes me feel sick because it reminds me of how small we are.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Ugh. I don't like thinking like that. But it is crazy.
Right.
It's so crazy. Whoever designed it, I don't know. I could never.
Yeah. And so, that's why when you get into those spaces, things like Jesus if Jesus is a savior, he can only be a savior to this world. He can't be a savior to any other world. Why? Because the light that will reach one of those galaxies from this planet hasn't even formed yet, and that light won't reach there for another 100 million years.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not possible.
So if there are other people in those galaxies, they don't even know about our existence. If they can take the proper pictures, they won't even know about the existence of, the savior for the universe, for hundreds of millions. It's silly, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But the greater universal conscious mind makes sense if, like in Interstellar, a thing like love can extend beyond time, beyond space, where you can think about your loved ones, even though time is passing at a different rate. You can love your love. You can even hate people, even though you, right?
So your consciousness your
it goes across all 5 dimensions.
Yeah. Right? So you got the spatial, temporal, and the mind. That makes up the 5-dimensional universes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one, the reason why he concluded that time could be one of the dimensions is because he claims that he had time traveled while he was.
Oh, interesting. Explain. What happened?
During his experience. So the ones that he talked about is that when he was in this state of death, state of mind, when he thought of someone, instantly it would take him there. So during this near-death experience, while he is clinically dead for 30 minutes in his other experiences, please look it up, when he thought of his mom, instantly he is beside his mom.
He would visit her.
Like remember, like he's in the hospital, right? Because he's clinically dead. They're trying to help him out. He will think of his mom, and he will see his mom crying. Or he'll think of his dad, and instantly he's taken to where his dad is. So
Interesting.
then he thought, wait, what if I visited Japan, but like hundreds of years ago?
Oh.
So he started thinking of like, okay, who's someone famous
So he went
in Japanese
in the
history?
past,
Yeah.
not the future.
He also went to the future,
Oh.
which you can look it up yourself. But he went to the past. Cannot remember this guy's name. Mutsu, do you remember what my mom was talking about? Oda Nobunaga.
Oh, Nobunaga.
He went to go visit
Uh-huh.
him, and he saw the entire scene of if someone got killed and who got killed. Did someone actually kill, like, did his right hand man kill him?
Yeah,
Because that's
yeah.
like the whole
Nobunaga story.
yeah. He saw that his right hand man did not kill him. In fact, he was actually, his right hand man was in Europe when this whole story came out. So that was his history conclusion after seeing this. Another thing that he saw was he traveled back to observe the significant events such as the Great Flood and the origin of the universe.
They just found Noah's Ark. Anyway, yeah, interesting.
He also went back to the Edo period and observed a very famous poet. Couldn't find the name while I was researching this. Probably out there. Composing a poem that is very well known in Japan.
Interesting. I find the concept in that space of time travel backwards a very real possibility because it's something that the greater universal mind has experienced.
Okay.
So why couldn't you go back and live the history of others if you're a part of the same?
Okay.
Going forward, something that nobody has experienced, I find that a little bit more difficult to grasp.
But you know,
what do I know?
Yeah. Well, you know the saying, like some physicists say that we're experiencing past, present, and future all at once.
Same time.
At a different.
Like, yeah, I mean.
Because time is relative, right? Yeah. It's
Quantum
not linear.
Physics and all that, string theory, blah blah blah.
I don't understand. I don't understand it either. But this is his claim. This is his thesis as a physicist that himself.
The trouble is scientists will try to understand God or this greater universal mind by using quantum theory and math, and it will get you to a place.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's still this space between math and physics and God, and there's a valley there, and I don't know if science can cross that valley very easily yet. I think it's coming. I think it's coming very, very soon, where artificial intelligence will help us cross that gap. I'm actually quite hopeful that artificial intelligence allows us to have enough knowledge in our hands to be able to bridge that gap between us and
Do you think a being from this world can really bridge that gap?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think for every million people that claim to have contact with God, one will be legit, and I think the rest are shysters.
Okay, but it's still, I don't think it's possible to really bridge that gap in this physical form.
No, I think a transcendent. I think a transcendent is necessary, and that's why I think most people won't get to that point
until they die.
Because you can't be a normal person. You have to be very in tune to universe, to your spirit, to your mind, to others, in order to bridge that gap. And so that's why I think some people can do it or will do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think all people have the potential to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the number of people that will actually, right? There's 8 billion people on Earth, and like 20 are billionaires. I think it's the same. I think it's pretty much the same statistic. 8 billion people, and only very, very few will get to that point in their spirituality, in their quietness, in their serenity, in their calmness, to be able to do that. And some won't tell anybody. Maybe they'll be told or asked not to tell other people. And so I think that's another challenge. I've had experiences that I won't share with anybody. Well, actually, only one, maybe two. But
okay. Yeah.
Probably two that I can think of. But yeah. So.
Well, I think that we can end it right there. What do you think? Okay. Well, thanks
Or
for
the
listening.
Oilers play tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Everybody be
Thanks for listening. Again, this is not a religious podcast. It just went down that path a little bit.
I don't think so. I don't think we went down the religions.
I think some people will be triggered because you said Mormonism and
Well, people, I can't control
stop
what
being
triggers
triggered, please.
I
It's so
can't
annoying.
stand that crap.
But anyway, all opinions. But let us know if you have an opinion or you have experienced astral projection yourself. Because I'm interested in knowing, because I had an experience myself once, twice.
Preferably when you weren't really high on something, although that may help. Although that may help. In all legitimacy, I know we were trying to end, but that may help. I'm not saying anybody should do it. I'm just saying some people may have had experiences like that when they were on the shrooms.
Yeah. Either way,
or
I'll
whatever
be
you
interested
call
in
them
knowing.
nowadays. I don't know the lingo.
Yeah, I like the comments because we got a few commenters in our last videos, and they're positive, like interactive comments. So thank you.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, and we'd love to hear from you. Like and share this video, and if you can, please subscribe. You don't have to.
Yes,
Okay,
you do.
bye.
You do.
Okay, bye.